Starts their new term, which they'll hear arguments now, and then they'll debate and write the opinions, and then next spring they will release them. To talk about some of the topics on the docket, Adam Winkler joins us, professor of constitutional law at UCLA Law School. Good morning, Adam Winkler.
Good morning.
One of the things they keep talking about is they are going to hear about gay marriage. I thought they already ruled on that gay marriage.
Well, 2 years ago, they did have a gay marriage case out of California, but the court ducked the question. They did rule in a separate case that the Federal Defense of Marriage Act was unconstitutional, but they have left in place basic bans exist in over 30 states that ban same-sex couples from getting married. The Supreme Court has not yet decided whether to decide that case, but it seems inevitable given how many court decisions we've had in recent months striking down marriage bans that the court's going to jump in on this issue.
So have they decided to take the case, or are they going to look into and debate whether or not they're going to take the case?
They are going to look into and debate whether to take a case. They have not agreed to hear one of these cases, but most experts think the court really can't avoid it for long. There's a lot of people who've been trying to get married who have court decisions saying they have a right to get married, and yet those decisions have been put on hold pending Supreme Court decision. So the court's going to have to step in eventually.
What about the Facebook First Amendment law? I love that one.
Well, that's right. This term, the Supreme Court is going to decide a case involving everyone's favorite website, Facebook. A fellow by the name of Anthony Alanis was brought up on criminal charges after he posted angry Facebook messages threatening his ex-wife, his employer, FBI agents, even a kindergarten class. He claims the posts were free speech, and the justices are going to have to decide exactly how much protection the First Amendment gives to potentially threatening Internet posts and how to draw the line between illegal threats and mere hyperbole.
That seems like an almost impossible question to answer.
Well, that's right. And, the justices are usually very hostile to any restriction on speech, afraid of chilling speech. But given how vile so many Internet comments are, perhaps a little chilling effect could be a good thing.
Yeah. What about this Muslim being allowed to grow a beard in prison?
Well, right. That's the case that's going to start off the term on Tuesday, where a Muslim prisoner is claiming a religious-based exemption from a prison's ban on facial hair. Now, the justices are usually pretty deferential to prison safety policies, but they have also been expanding the rights of religious adherents to gain exemptions from general laws. The availability of religious exemptions has important implications, especially for things like LGBT rights. Some wedding service providers have refused to work for same-sex couples on religious grounds.
Yeah, so also that goes back to that Hobby Lobby case, right? If Hobby Lobby has a religious objection to covering some birth control, well then doesn't this Muslim have some objection to the laws for his religious beliefs?
That's right. And so this case dealing with the Muslim beards will be an interesting test of how broadly the justices see the Hobby Lobby decision. And does it entitle people to a lot of religious exemptions from generally applicable laws, something the court has previously been reluctant to allow?
Adam, what are you looking for in this term?
Well, really, the big stories of the term are the cases that the Supreme Court has yet to decide whether to take. We've mentioned same-sex marriage, but there's also big cases waiting in the wings on voter ID laws out of Wisconsin, on the availability and access to abortion out of Texas, and possibly even another round of Obamacare, where the Supreme Court may have to decide whether federal subsidies are available on exchanges that are created by the federal government instead of by the state.
So how does this work? When do they decide, and how do they decide what cases to take, and are they going to hear cases and then debate whether or not they want to take cases through the whole term?
They debate on whether they want to hear cases this term pretty much through January. The court is entitled to set its own docket, and it does so in a rolling fashion. It's taken a bunch of cases already for this term, and over the next few months it will take more of these cases. One of the biggest questions the court looks to is whether the federal courts below are divided on an issue, because the court wants to provide some uniformity to the law across the country.
So if they decide that they want to hear a gay marriage case, then they won't hear that till next term, right?
No, they could, up until January, take a case that will be decided this term. January is pretty much the end of the line, though. So we should expect to hear in the next couple months of whether the Supreme Court is going to return to this obviously important civil rights issue.
They seem to sidestep a lot of the most pressing issues of the day.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. A lot of people have criticized the Supreme Court in recent years for involving itself in every major issue of the day, dating back to the decision over a presidential election back in 2000. But it may be that same-sex marriage is one of those issues the justices would rather stay away from. Justices like Justice Ginsburg, who may be inclined to rule in favor of same-sex marriage, have already said that they think that in many contexts the court goes too far too fast in expanding people's rights, leading to a backlash. She may be afraid of such a backlash here.
Any rumors about this being anyone's last term?
Well, the only discussion has really been about Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and whether she'll retire. She's in her 80s. She has fought cancer in the past. However, she has been on a publicity tour, a real campaign to tell people she is not retiring, and that she thinks that the charges that she stepped down at the age of 80 are tinged with a bit of sexism, as her colleague Justice Stevens didn't hear such demands for retirement until he reached 90.
Yeah, and the fact that Justice Ginsburg and Justice Scalia are the best of friends, and they can't agree on anything.
No, they can't agree on anything, although one thing they can agree on is that they'll probably both enjoy being featured in an opera that's being produced in this next year about Scalia and Ginsburg and their relationship.
So they can't agree on anything, but except for where to vacation together, right? They actually vacation together, yeah.
And they celebrate every New Year's Eve together and have for, I think, about 2 decades now. So it's sometimes the Supreme Court, the justices can be the best of friends even when they vehemently disagree on the most important issues. It's probably a good model for the rest of us in America.
Adam Winkler, professor of constitutional law. I thought I held my own with you. I would have failed your class, but at least I can ask you questions on the radio. UCLA Law School. Adam, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
You got it. 7:28 here, Big 550.